There is nothing new except the continuation of the raids and even their intensification, and these raids and bombardments have taken multiple forms. In fact, in different areas, Israel is clear that the air raids are continuing, along with artillery bombardment as well as bombardment by Israeli gunboats, thus completing the bombardment from land, from the sea, and from the air, and these new fires. Clouds of smoke rising from the northwestern area of Gaza City on the outskirts of the town of Beit Lahia, north of the Gaza Strip. This is one of the raids. It appears that there is a policy and intention by the Israeli occupation aircraft to target facilities and buildings. But so far it has not been able to completely contain the first fire to a large extent, but the second fire is increasing in flames and attempts to contain it are still ongoing. A barrage of missiles towards Israeli targets, but it appears to be a barrage of long-range missiles that could exceed the Ashkelon area. We will know shortly. When the Palestinian factions distribute and adopt these attacks, the situation in the Gaza Strip has actually begun to escalate in terms of increasing and intensifying the Israeli raids and artillery shelling. It seems that the planes are now carrying out more Israeli raids. In the same axis that took the shape of a crescent in this area, the northwestern outskirts of Gaza City with the southern outskirts of the town of Beit Lahia, north of the Strip. This was the second belt that was repeatedly struck by Israeli warplanes with this type of raids, but today they returned to destroy it again with such raids, along with, of course, igniting this type of fire. If we consider that the Israeli warplanes and the Israeli occupation army are deliberately intensifying these raids. The intensification of shelling by cannons regarding the areas bordering the borders of Gaza City, especially the eastern and northern ones as well, and also the intervention of boats on the line and the targeting of the fishermen's port area and the fishermen's port with military boats as well as aircraft. This means that we are facing a new phase, perhaps, of escalating these raids and escalating operations of systematic destruction against homes and facilities and against specific axes in specific areas on the ground. This may indicate that the Israeli occupation army has a plan according to which it is proceeding with regard to this bombing, and that although it takes a random form, but it is organized within a plan adopted and pursued by the Israeli occupation army to implement the scorched earth policy and repeated belts of fire in such axes. Perhaps it is a prelude to something or some development or some stage in this plan that we could see in the coming days if this war continues on the Gaza Strip. But on the at least so far, these raids also coincided with other raids on separate areas. Certainly in the Rafah area, there was a targeting of one of the houses. Talk is about 5 martyrs and a number of wounded in this area. There was also a targeting of the area east of Khan Yunis, south of the Gaza Strip, and talk about a number of casualties. This means that some citizens were barely able to escape from their homes under the weight of these raids and bombardments, thus deepening the wave of displacement and resorting to schools. Thus, this matter indicates beyond any doubt that the Israeli occupation forces mean what they are doing in the field and are stepping up with the aim of putting pressure on the Palestinian internal front and playing the civilian card to the maximum extent of this is to put pressure on the Palestinian resistance factions and the leadership of these Palestinian factions, considering that it is the most painful card from a moral and other perspective. Therefore, it escalates and intensifies these raids whenever the bombing intensifies in the field, in the axes that we see, both northern and western. The Israeli occupation forces continue